We do. Except today I didn't have them done. I had a couple of pieces of cheese and some yogurt. And then when I went there, I bought some yogurt. And he had a yogurt and I had a yogurt. We were starving. And I got home, I made a bunch of coleslaw. And so she had some of that and a baked potato. And I had a hot dog. You know, hot dogs are like $11 or $12 a package. He said, why didn't you buy some hot dogs? I said, Marilyn, I can't afford it. I said, oh, well, why didn't you do this, buy that? I said, I can't afford it. You know, that's the size. Well, we can get some baseball hot dogs for $6 a package. Well, they got little ones. You get about 6 of them that are about there's the little ones, but they didn't have any little packages. They had the big ones, the ballpark. Yeah, I had one left tonight, and that's when I went out there and had the wood stove going, and I put it on a hot dog fork thing and put it in there and cooked it in my wood stove out there. I just put it underneath the cap.
Man, I got a mess over here again.
So it was nice and done.
Stuff everywhere.
I
need to go out here and screw around with this antenna and see if I can get it to work better.
It was $30 for a can of Crisco. If you can believe that. Well, our local store, that's where I cook with olive oil, and they want $48 for a gallon of olive oil, and they go to Walmart, get it for half price. Well, I paid $27 for probably a half a gallon of it today, or something like that. And it was $30 for the other thing. And, but I didn't go back and buy a big Crisco. I bought a little bitty one this time. See what that has to do with that, because I had to buy my groceries twice. But I had bought, they had a real good deal. They had 5 pounds of coleslaw fixings, you know, for $4.
Yeah.
And they had the little ones for $3.50, so I got the big one.
I do not eat
I got a great
coleslaw.
big bowl and mixed it all up and made some dressing to go with it. Well, I can't eat that coleslaw, boy. That's tough on my gut. You know, it doesn't bother me. It used to,
Coleslaw,
but it doesn't now.
nasty stuff.
Well, that was a big no-no on my list. I got to bring my down to the hospital. No cabbage. It's too hard to digest. Well, cabbage, if I fry it, it hurts me. If I have sauerkraut, forget that, I'm dead. But the regular coleslaw, the way I make it, it doesn't bother me. But, or if I eat sauerkraut or fried cabbage, and I love fried cabbage and sauerkraut both, but that don't work. I love boiled cabbage and boil it in milk. Oh boy, I just love that with butter on it. Oh, I tell you what, I like the oxtail soup with cabbage in it, you know, and carrots. And you cook the oxtail, you know, and fry it real good and brown it, and then you have all this flour in there, and I put the flour and all of that into the soup, and put more flour in it, put a little olive oil and stuff, and I mix that in there to where it's got a froth to it, and you have the cabbage and the carrots and the onions and a little bit of peas or something sometimes, just a few, and celery in there. And boy, that's good, but I can't eat that at all. I can't eat boiled cabbage at all. It's just, I don't know why I get by with eating the coleslaw. It doesn't bother me. Yeah, that's weird. You think that stuff would be easier for you to digest. Yeah, I love that oxtail soup. I make that, but I don't eat it because I can't eat it. That's, I make it when I make the Italian food a lot of times. Transfer to use noodles or something. Yeah, well, sometimes you put noodles in there. What they do in the Italian restaurants or the fast restaurants, they'll cook beans, and they'll serve you the beans separate from the oxtail soup, and you put beans in the oxtail soup. You mix them, you know. And I really like it. It's just, I can't eat it at all. The beans especially, you know. The oxtail soup's bad enough, but I put the beans in there, it's hurting. Yeah, me too. I got to leave that alone. And Marilyn loves beans. She was looking forward to her El Pollo Loco. She was going to get a wing and what was it, thigh and a leg today, and mashed potatoes and beans.
Kick
And they
the
give you a
camera.
little
Don't do it.
corn tortilla with it. That didn't happen. We planned on it, but it didn't happen. A double grocery out of me. Anyway, good night to all of you out there. Wayne, thank you for being there tonight. I had to get back in here later and try to talk to you. I was hollering for you. Willie, it's good to hear you, and I don't know where Todd is, but it was good to talk to Eddie tonight. And Scott was in there, but I couldn't hear him because he wasn't running an amplifier. And Willie and Bram. What's that? Scott went to bed early. Yeah, well, they shut their amplifiers off, you know, and I can't hear them without an amplifier. Unless they got a 102. Well, 102 is loud. You don't need the amplifier with that. No, I'm not running that tonight. I've got my 102 hooked up to my Drake L4B, but I use that on 40 meters. I just leave it there. Very good. Well, you take care of you. Give our best to Maryland. Well, I'll talk to all of you later, N7IU. All right, take care, Jim. KJ6JKA. Yes, we'll see you later. You and Maryland have a good one, Jim. And we'll see you later, too. KJ7EP. All right, take it easy, Wayne. I may be out. Oh, a little bit. I gotta check in on the family. KJ6JKA. Okay, see you later.
You guys have a good night. KG7H here.
Oh, now you're back.
Yeah.
Hey, what was your... not eBay, but what was your... I know it was... this is not here.
Your microphone's cutting out.
You're kidding.
Sounded like it, I thought. Maybe something else is going on. Did you change the microphone?
What's that?
Did you change the microphone?
I did change it, so I took the one that was acting up out and plugged in an aisle.
Yeah, it sounded like it was cutting out for a second. I don't know.
No, I probably didn't squeeze this old switch that I got going to it, or I just let go. What is your YouTube thing again exactly? I tried to look it up and I got all kinds of people.
Oh, okay. It's Ham Radio Hack, HACK, and there's a picture in the background of a lightning picture that I took.
Okay, is that like all one word?
I think so. You should be able to look it up either way.
Okay, you know, I think I forgot to put ham. I just put radio. And that's why I got all kinds of people. Alright. I just want to get on there every once in a while and see if I can make you a couple bucks.
Yeah, I got a really good recording of somebody arguing with us earlier tonight about the tuning the input of the amplifier to the output of the radio's internal tuner to make it work better. You know, not all amplifiers are perfect 50 ohms, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Mine in the house is not the L2100 Bravo, and they use an extra tuner in between.
Well, so this guy that I'm sure you know who he is, he's always got to be right, but this other guy asked a question. He said, I heard somebody say that it helps if you tune the tuner to the input of the amplifier. And so he immediately said, oh my God, that person doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. So I chimed in and said, well, my Heathkit SB220 isn't the perfect 50 ohms on all the bands. So I tune my radios. I key up the amp and I push the tune button on the radio, and I let it match to the input of the amplifier. And he went off. Oh, you're not matching it to the input of the amplifier. They're still in SWR. I said, yeah, I know, but what it does is it lets my radio put out full power without folding power back. Oh, no, 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 no. He just went off. It was like, and he kept arguing and arguing and then telling me I didn't know what I was talking about. And I said, well, I read somewhere that the input of an amplifier varies on the amount of drive and the modulation of your voice. And he said, oh, no, that's complete crap. I said, so you're telling me that everything Rich Measures said isn't true? And he says, oh, Rich Measures is a grossly exaggerated all sorts of stuff. And I was like, okay, I don't agree with you. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. And then he just kept going on and on and on. But I got it all recorded nicely, so that might be a good one to watch.
Alrighty. Yeah. Yeah, I believe I know who you mean.
Yeah, he's down there on 53. He's just always got to be the expert for everybody. And he's a nice guy, but he like gets like, you know, his feathers ruffled and then just goes nuts. Yep, but I mean, I don't think I'm wrong, but I mean, maybe I am, you know. Yeah, I know there's still a mismatch. He's like, oh, that amplifier's broken. I ain't supposed to do that. Blah, blah. You got bad mica capacitors. It's just always like, I almost told him, dude, do you just always have to be right every time? I mean, can you never be wrong? You know? And the problem is that a lot of guys on that frequency, they ask him for advice all the time. And a lot of guys on that frequency pretend to be dumb so that he'll volunteer to fix their stuff. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So there's, you know, a lot of ego stroking going on there.
Pretty smart of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're pretty smart, some of those guys. And one guy that always asks lots of questions, like he's not very smart, he's actually, like, pretty much like a psychologist.
Yeah, how's psyching me?
What's that?
How's psyching him, huh?
Well, he just always asks, you know, like as if he doesn't really know. And some of the stuff he doesn't. He's not a technical guy, but you know, he just always kind of plays like he doesn't really know. But it's just kind of funny how some people just cannot be wrong, you know. And I'm sometimes that person too. But I think we've all seen this phenomenon with amplifiers, haven't we?
That 2100, I don't have to do it at all on the big amp here, but I sure do have to do it on that one.
Well, and these, you know, amplifiers came out in the 60s and 70s, and they weren't designed to work with solid-state radios, you know. And they were designed to where when you tuned up your radio, you could adjust the pi network on your radio to the input of the amp if it had one. And some of the amplifiers, like the early Swans and stuff, and Dentrons, they didn't even have a tuned input. You needed to adjust your radio so that it would work.
Yep, that's for sure.
But somebody tried to join in on the conversation, you know, and they were like, comment. And, you know, finally, after a second time or third time saying comment, I was like, go ahead, comment. And then all of a sudden he keys up on top of him and then asks the other guy, so what do you do today? Try to change the subject. It's like, oh, geez, man. You know, like, you got to be right. Now you don't want anybody else to get involved that might possibly say something otherwise, so let's just change the subject and talk over somebody.
Yeah.
I sometimes ask myself the question, why do I even, you know, like waste my breath with that particular person? Like, and it wasn't really, the comment wasn't particularly towards him, and for some reason I thought actually that he would agree with me, but it was, my comment was to the other guy that asked the question, you know, in the first place. But apparently I think he was just in a bad mood, so everything I said was going to be wrong no matter what. It's like you tell him, the water is water. No, it's not water, you're wrong.
No, it's H2O.
Yeah, you're wrong, it's H2O. The sky is blue. No, it's like, Oh, what do they call that? I think the older kid has a slight case of it. A defiant disorder or something. ODS, obedient defiant disorder, where you tell them the color of that shirt's red, and they say, "No, you're wrong. It's blue," and even though they know it's not, because they just want to argue with you. Well, the older kid, he does that sometimes with certain things, not exactly to that extent. You will tell him something, and he'll say, "Well," or "I heard," or "Well, but," or, the case of the "yeah buts."
Looking at, I don't know why I'm looking at it. I've already taken it out of the circuit. So I think I'll just throw it away. I think I found out what was wrong with it, but I don't need it anyway. It's just something from my, we got a bunch of plugs and then you got stuff. I can't make anything tonight. Anyway. I'm going to let this go with the phone, so I won't think about it here. No, I don't even...
So, what's wrong? The microphone connector?
No, it's not on the mic. I took this out of a plug strip. It was a regulator and a surge protector. It was not working, and I see why there's a bad connection. I'm sure not going to put it back in.
Oh yeah, they get all widened out, and then eventually, if it's something that draws a lot, then they get even worse because they heat up.
Yeah, that could be what this one did. It's there's two pieces of wire, and it's broken. So I don't know what did it, but I didn't need it anyway because it's not on the line. It needs that protection anyway.
So what I look for is, I go to Goodwill and I look for the old metal power strips with the circuit breaker and the surge protection on them. And when you open them up, they'll literally have regular receptacles in them so you can replace them. Yeah, not a bad idea. I didn't realize people gave those away too at Goodwill. I guess you can find just about anything. You may find some of my old radios there pretty soon. I don't think you can get them any other way. I haven't seen any for sale that were metal anymore. And there's a guy on QRZ, he's one of the moderators. He had like a garage, a separated garage, his whole Radio Shack with a theater in it and everything. And he's up in Washington, like by Olympia. His name is Dave. This is a really weird call sign. But anyway, his whole entire place caught on fire because of a plastic power strip.
Wow. That's too bad.
Yeah, the firefighters, they found it, and they're like, there's a picture of them holding it up, and they show you. So it was carpeted, and that was on the carpet, and then that caught on fire, and it burned the whole place down. He lost all of his radio equipment. He had a lot of old radios too. I just can't remember his call sign. It's like Dave, and he's got like a picture of like some kind of like Marconi looking guy with that funny loop antenna, and then he's superimposed a picture of his head on it.
Well, that's too bad. That's one way to get rid of your radios, but if you don't want to get rid of them, that's really too bad. I've talked to a couple of people who lost their radios from lightning hits.
Yeah, well, he at least got insurance, and bought all new stuff. But some of the stuff that he lost, even if you'd have wanted to do it on purpose, you wouldn't be able to find the crap, So, God, I just don't remember. He just has like some really wacky call sign. He's commonly a moderator though on QRZ, so you'd see it. There's actually like a link somewhere to the pictures on QRZ, but it is pretty bad, and I always remember that every time I see a plastic power strip, I'm like, don't do it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, of course, I've got a couple of metal ones around here. There's ham radio hat. That's all I needed.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I noticed that, like, okay, so some of them you'd have to cut the ears off of a receptacle, but you'd be able to put them in there. They even use the stupid push connectors, which are also known in the electrical industry to be kind of a no-no to use.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That just doesn't make sense.
Well, that's how they have them. They all have 14-gauge wire pieces jumpered from one little outlet to another. I opened up one a while ago, and one of the outlets wasn't working, and I pushed the wire, and it went way the hell into the thing.
You know, you got a good point there, because they used a common bus bar all the way down on the one I was looking at. It was a brand name, Belkin or something, but they used like common bus bars going all the way down between the plugs.
That's how almost all the plastic ones are. And it's just strips of brass.
Yeah. That's not so good if it's full of stuff. Boy, that's really not good, because all of that stuff begins to loosen in there.
Yeah, so what happens is you wobble out the plug, and then it generates heat, and then, eventually it'll actually melt the plastic. And then they all, like, one of them moves too far, it makes the other one move, I have one where when I plug it in, all the other plugs stop working. So it's like, that one's got to go in the trash.
Yeah. KG6JK.
KG7HVR. Yeah, I didn't know how those things were until like a few years ago. And I always bought the ones with the, the GFI and all that stuff on them, and I thought, oh, they're super safe. Yeah, until they catch on fire.
Yeah.
But some of the metal ones, they just have a circuit breaker and like a rocker switch. And then some of them, the rocker switch is also a circuit breaker, and some of them have a little protection light. But most of the ones you'll find, they're made by Woods or something like that, and they don't usually have, I don't know. I think they're just MOSs across the lines, but, and then there's like some kind of indicator light that will let you know if there's a fault. They're not MOSs, MOVs. I don't know what the hell it stands for. They look like ceramic capacitors.
Yeah, very good. I just put the SDR on. I wanted to see how this sounded, and it sounds pretty good. It's thinner with the high mic than it is with the standard mic, but it sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds fine over here. I don't know if how I sound, because I actually have the loop is cut open. It's in a giant C shape, and then it comes down about 4 feet. I added a little bit more wire to it. I moved the wire around, so I cut it on one end so I could go around the front of the trees in the front yard. And I think I'm just going to put it back up the rest of the way tomorrow. But right now it's actually like a C-shaped dipole.
Well, it seems to be doing just fine.
Yeah, it seems like it acts exactly the same way as the loop. So that's why I'm wondering, well, they always say there's gain on a loop, but if you don't trim your loop to exactly like the frequency you want, there's more than one way to do it, but I'm really not interested in running ladder line, and my feed point is above my head, and my loop is only up 20 to 25 feet anyways. So it doesn't require much coax for me to get from the feed point to the radio. So I don't see why I would want to put 25 feet of ladder line and then have to bring it in here and do all that crazy stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever do any work with ladder line. Too late. Maybe if I was born in 1932 or something, I would do that. But I'm a coax guy all the way now.
Well, you know, they say, like, you know, the ladder line has no loss, blah, 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 and that's good for long runs. And then, you know, then some people say it's not any good to run the ladder line to a 4-to-1 Ballon, and then, you know, to your tuner. You need to have, supposedly, a balanced line tuner, otherwise you're wasting your time. And that's, according to that same particular person, actually. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard anybody else say that, but he said that if you use ladder line, you need to have a balanced line tuner, otherwise you'll have a, in his words, quote, tremendous amount of loss from using a 4-to-1 Ballon with a regular tuner.
Well, I didn't know much about that. I did just see a balanced line tuner for the first time. It was very expensive. I can't remember how much it was, as usual. But I guess they're out there.
Yeah, I guess MFJ makes one that uses a pair of roller inductors on each leg of the thing, and then a capacitor across everything. And so, but I think what's weird is so the two inductors are ganged together. But I know that that's one way. I've got a bunch of KW Matchboxes, and I've used them before and never could get them to work very well. They don't like my antenna. I've changed the feed line length. I've went from 450 ohm ladder line to 300 ohm ladder line. It just does not want to tune this band whatsoever. It doesn't really want to tune any band.
Well, that seems odd. Something sounds wrong. Bad connection or something. I used to have, for a long time, they used to take a tuner, just two coils, and with a heat kit thing in a box, and you put it up right in front of your antenna, and you had your choice there of big balance or unbalanced. So you could do a lot of different things just by connecting it and feel those two coils in different ways.
I've got a Heathkit tuner though in the house, the SA2060A, and it's a a T-match, so two capacitors and one roller inductor, and it works pretty good. It works better than my MFJ tuner. So it has some kind of Ballon inside of it too. I don't know if it's current or voltage Ballon. I don't really know if that matters, like whether or not it matters, but people say that the current Ballon is the better one, but why did they put voltage Ballons and everything then?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm using a current Ballon myself, but I don't have to be why. I can't remember. I studied up on it years ago. I don't even remember how many years ago, 20. And I'm still using the same one. And it hasn't failed me yet.
Well, I used to have one I made myself, and I just kind of like guessed at it, and I had a toroid core. I don't even know what the hell it was, and that's what I used to use on this antenna for a couple of years, and it was wound with a bifiller wire, which was just literally 14 gauge zip cord speaker wire, I think, wound around it, and it's supposed to be 4-to-1. I think current Ballon, basically the way I wound it, and it worked really good. And then something happened. It was inside one of those little boxes, and something happened where, like, I don't know, it went bad.
Yeah, you're getting stronger. I can't tell on this 102. It seems to have a very stingy S-meter, but you're real strong here.
Yeah, my other 102 is like funny. You turn the meter switch, one that reads like high voltage and whatnot, and you turn it back and forth, and all of a sudden, boom, the receiver starts working good. But when I turn it on, a lot of times I can't hear real well. And it used to be I would just key the radio up a bunch of times and it would, come in louder. But I cannot for the life of me figure out what in the hell that meter switch has to do with making my receive better.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Wouldn't know. Only maybe Alex would know.
It's got to be something that's sharing voltage somewhere that's causing an effect on another circuit, It's the only thing I can think of. And it's been doing it like that for a long time. That's the one I bought here locally for $125.
Well, could be. That could be coincidence, and it could be a relay. It's sticky.
It literally, it's predictable, and it's only that switch that makes the receive come back.
Alrighty.
But the Malcolmized 102 really hasn't gave me any problems. And this one here doesn't always work on all the bands either. But I have about 4 relays that I need to change. And I just haven't gotten around to it because it works on this band. And that's really the only place I use it.
I asked for Alex, and there he is. Hi, Alex.
Good evening, David AFS.
Good evening.
Hey, Alex.
Good evening.
Uh-oh. Go ahead.
Hey, KS6WD. Yeah, I just heard you guys talking about balance line and ladder line and tuners and having a balanced tuner. And I'm in a situation myself. I got a T5RB that I listened to another Hamlet about 3 or 4 nights ago. And he said, get rid of your coax. Use a ladder line all the way up into the back of the radio. It's going to decrease your performance on 100 tones. It's going to be so much better. And I ended up having to get an auto tuner, but I bought a 939. And it tunes it, but I have no idea how to
I'll leave that for the other guys.
Well, I'm here in North Los Angeles. You've got a good signal here. My name is Alex. This is K6AFS, so maybe it's doing well. It's working well. Maybe Bram can give you a good comment on that, too.
I'm like about a 50% copy on him. I can't understand everything he's saying. I don't hear him real well. He's kind of at my noise level. So I copied a little bit of it, but I'm not sure exactly what his question was. So, but you being the smarter guy, Alex, you're much more qualified to answer this question.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never tried putting a ladder line directly to a tuner on a 939, but if you're running a 939 right now, and it seems to be working, you got a good signal. Yeah, sorry for the other gentleman that not, you don't have a good enough signal. I'm in El Segundo. This is KN6WNE. This is Keith. And yeah, I'm in Los Angeles in the South Bay area. That's probably why everybody's hearing me better. I'm not sure what your location is. But I did go ladder line all the way to the back of the tuner. I made a little homemade 4-to-1 balun with about a 1 foot deep coax, and that's going to the back of the tuner. And I can tune all bands from 80 meters all the way up to 10 meters. Over. Yeah, fantastic. Keith, are you using it right now? Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm using that right now. Yeah, it seems to be working fine. Are you running 100 watts? Yeah, I'm running 100 watts. It's no amplifier. Great. Very good. Good, strong signal. Bram is in Arizona. Prescott Valley. I had to think twice where he was. And I'm here in Canoga Park in San Fernando Valley. And Will is in Huntington Beach. Go ahead, Will.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I'm running about 170 watts from an old-fashioned FT102 barefoot, but the 102s ran 3 6146s, so we were able to get about 170 watts output, over.
Yeah, that's very cool. I've got right here, I'm sitting next to my FT101EE. That kind of got a lot of broken the parts with and figured out what was wrong with it. But yeah, I love this one, Rick.
Yeah, very good. What are you running now?
I'm on my A2 FT991.
Oh, okay, very good. Yeah, well, for some reason you're not getting the Bram too well, but, you know, that's hard to say. I think we are, but again, we're running more power. I can almost guarantee Alex is running quite a bit more power. What are you using tonight, Alex?
No, I'm running barefoot, and I'm surprised you're talking on a 102.
I am. I'm talking on my 102. Alex size 102.
What's the matter? Did you get it back?
No, I had two of them.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, I got the complete station also that you worked on, bless your heart. And I should have gotten that one back, to tell you the truth, no matter what. Would have been better off.
All right. So I'm running about 170 watts also on my Yaesu FT102, very old radio from 1982. It's got tube types for the finals, and we just like the old gear here. We like using them because they're easier to fix. Over.
Yeah, roger that. Yeah, I've got a hand buddy of mine here in Oklahoma with me that he's gotten really, really good at restoring some of these old rigs, and he's got several. And you know, on occasion, he and I will both power up our FT101. He's got an E model, and I've got my double E here, and we'll have a QSO on that. And I told him that I had heard there was a net out there somewhere, and that a bunch of guys get together and they're only on the old boat anchors, and I'm trying to find those guys. So it looks like I might have stumbled onto a few of them.
Yeah, the vintage nets, they're on 38.95, thereabouts, 38.95, so they get on Tuesday nights and Thursday nights. And I think Friday night, they start at about 7:30-ish, thereabouts in the evening. Those are the real modified boat anchors. We just use whatever we can out here, and we just happen to like the old radios. They're like old cars, you know. They're easier to fix. Don't need to have a degree in some kind of science to figure it out. They're a lot more fun to fix also. Gee whiz, I also have an FT101 double E here. I have it somewhere here. That's a nice rig. I enjoy that too. Over.
Wow. Did that come from 3916?
No, that's down below. I see it on my scope.
Wow. I don't know. Well, I'm sure he's going to hear us too.
Yeah, it's the same, probably the same person that gets on 3912, and I think it was that guy that pissed off Lee.
Yeah, well, we're going to continue it. And if I have to run more power, I can easily do it.
Well, I'm running about 1,000 watts, and if I switch over to my ICOM, I'll be doing about 1,500. The 710 doesn't really drive this amp very good. But the other station, I'm hearing him sometimes, and the band's kind of like moving a little bit. But I'm hearing everybody else pretty good. But boy, that is some absolute ridiculous crap. This guy just like shows up at like 12, tunes up, and then starts, I think, calling CQ.
Yeah, strong tune up there too, of course, because he's only one away from us there.
KN6, RSX.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I was down at 3912 trying to clear some other guys out of your way there. We meet there at that time, so we'll go ahead and move for you. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You guys have a good evening. KN6, RSX.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. You cleaned my ears out pretty good.
Yeah, I got a Henry amp here. I call him Horrible Hank, and he just likes to unload sometimes. So 73, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure. Usually, it ends up being something where these guys get upset. So I really appreciate it. You're a gentleman.
Well, hey, you know, that's what it's all about here, so there's nothing worse than looking at Charlie Brown's teacher, wah, 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 on the other channel there. So you guys take care and enjoy your evening.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. KG7HVR in Prescott Valley, saying 73 is your way.
KJ6JK.
K6AFS.
JN6WE. Hey, guys, I'm going to stop interrupting your QSO there, and I'm going to call 73, but I appreciate your info, and JN6WE is clear.
Boy, you're loud now. I don't know what happened with the band. But anyway, yeah, good luck with the stuff and the tuner and all that. And the 991A, you might want to go in and make some settings on the audio. They're kind of a little finicky on the stock settings. I had one.
Yeah, roger that. I appreciate that, bro. You guys have a good evening. JN6WE clear.
Have a good day,
So, Alex, I'm on a brand new radio.
Oh, we can play that game. Kidstop Radio. Okay. But you said it's brand new, so that means it's powerful.
So, they started to sell the new FT710 in a version called the Field, where it's $100 less and you get a carrying handle instead of a plastic speaker. And you can do a lot of stuff with this, but it's a lot better than a 7300 from what I can tell so far. It does lack some of the features, but again, it's also a radio that came out last year, so it's about 6 years newer technology. And it's got really good noise reduction and things like that on it.
Are you on it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, audio's very strong. You must have tweaked it up from the last time I heard it.
I just have I'm using an MD100 on it, and everything's exactly the same. But like I told you, I cut my loop, and it's in a giant C-shaped dipole. That's the only thing I think that's different.
So, is the radio a Yaesu?
Yeah, it's a Yaesu FT710. It's basically the alternative to the 7300, and the next in line to the FTDX10, and then to the FTDX101.
It's like about $800-900.
Oh, I have to look it up. I don't have an idea how it looks like. I've been hearing so many people lately on the FTDX10.
It looks just like the 10. It has a little bit better ergonomics. It has a DVI output, so I have a 25-inch monitor hooked to it. I don't know the specific differences, but it's very similar.
Cool.
So $899 plus tax. It was $994. I drove to Phoenix and picked it up. I sold my PV VT Classic 212 amp. I sold an American-made PV guitar. I sold a PV solid state 100 watt head. I sold an EVH 5150 head and some other stuff. And so basically I got rid of a whole bunch of crap, and I was like, hey, I have enough money to buy a new radio, and I got rid of a bunch of junk.
Well, knowing you must have done your research, and that must be a fine radio.
It's okay. I just kind of wanted another 7300 without buying a 7300. I do think the 7300 has better audio than this radio, but this radio is much newer, and I do think the resolution of the waterfall is better. But you could use something like an SDR play on a TV, the secondary receiver, and it would be better than this. But I just kind of wanted a radio that wasn't real big, it wasn't real small, and had these features so that I can kind of maximize my usage of ham radio a little bit more, because I'm a visual person, and I'll look on the band scope and see where the activity is, and then I'll go and listen.
The audio's fantastic.
Yeah.
But it did not sound good at first.
Yeah, sometimes you got to adjust them, but it's powerful now.
It sounded really bad with the factory hand microphone. And then if you make some changes, it sounds okay. But I thought that just hooking an MD100 up to it was all you really needed to do. but it doesn't quite push the power that the 756 Pros do. It's a little bit more anemic, I guess. I don't know. Like when I'm driving my amplifier, Alex, I'll see about 900 or 1,000, and when I use the 756, I'll see 12 to 1,500.
So it seems to me, that that is larger than the 7300 if you say the visuals are better.
It has a higher resolution, and I think the screen might be bigger because it's not in the center of the radio. The radio is exactly almost identical size to the 991A, if you've seen one.
Okay.
So it's still pretty small. I guess it would be the size of a Kenwood 440.
Yeah, that's small.
Speaking of Kenwoods and not very small, I have a TS940S that I've opened up about 20 times in the last 2 weeks, and I have soldered the PLL board about 3 times now, and every time I put it back together, it quits working after a while, and I'd open it back up, and then I have it like sitting there splayed out on the bench, and it works forever until I put it back together.
Oh, that's funny. I got a tip for you. Maybe next time you do that, you got it out on the board. Clean the board with alcohol.
I did, and I also heated up the board with a hot air dryer to get the wax out of that part that's known to have an issue. And it's really hard to get all the wax out. I don't want to use a heat gun on it because I think it gets too hot. Might damage some of the components.
Yeah, the alcohol will help remove the flux that tends to become partially conductive after so many years, and might help.
Yes, I did wipe it down and clean it with a toothbrush, and it's weird because it's, I don't know if it's temperature related or time related, but it'll sit there and work and work and work. Now this is the radio I've had for 2 years that I knew something was wrong with it. And it just didn't seem to receive like it should. And once I got it working 2 weeks ago, I was blown away at how good the receiver on this thing was. And then all of a sudden, then I started having PLL problems.
Yeah, so it's unlocking, huh?
Yep. And I went into the PLL and I found out which ones are unlocking. Because there's a PLL board and a carrier board that has 2 other VCOs. So with the help of some really good stuff on the internet, I basically found a troubleshooting flow chart. And I don't know why they're unlocking, but I assume it's, solder related. So these have cold solder joints throughout them because they drilled the holes kind of large on all the boards.
Right, so you must be probing on a test point where you would see the locking voltage. So the voltage might be drifting as you keep it on for a long time.
It's not drifting at all. It's just on or off. It'll be 4.6 volts or 0.
Oh, normally it tends to drift a bit before it becomes 0 or unlocks completely.
I haven't caught it doing it. And what I'll do is I'll have to get another little clip or something, or solder a wire or something, and then see if I can make it lose lock. And what happened last time, I had it all, I thought it was all great, and I went to go listen to Mark on, he used to live in Big Bear, on 160 meters, and I pushed the 160 meter band button, and all of a sudden it lost lock.
If the test voltage, normally there's a target voltage that you want to adjust to. So it sounds like you said 4.6 volts. So it should stay at 4.6 volts, and it could drift for the long term. Like if you go maybe 4.5, maybe slowly go down to 4.4 after an hour or so. But if it jumps to 0 suddenly, wow, that sounds like something is losing contact.
Yeah, there's 2 other points that you check where it comes in at 4.5 and then 14 volts, and those are both there. And then there's another one where it's the sum of all the VCOs together, when they're all locked, and it'll be 4.5, 4.6 when it's locked. But when you lose lock, the way that it has is all the VCOs are cascaded together through diodes, to where if any one of them equals 0, then the total output is always 0. And so then you need to find out which one's losing lock, and there's 4 of them on that board. And it's always the other 3. The 1 is always good.
Yeah.
But I had chased down an intermittent receive, issue, and it was like I would pull the wiring harness, which was, obviously zip tied like crazy, and it would, get louder or lose 20 dB. And I finally tracked that down, and found the cold solder joint, and it was one of those coaxial connectors, the cold solder joint where you typically see it.
Sounds like that will keep you busy for a while. Those unpredictable sporadics are sometimes the most impossible to work on.
Definitely. I'm about tired of working on it, but I don't really have any other projects. I have the 101 ZD. I've got the Tempo 1, and Tempo 1 is just probably just needs a lot of maintenance and new capacitors. I'm just not up to it at this point, but this one here, I like it because it's a big, huge radio. It's got a wide range tuner on it. It's got its own power supply. Literally just kind of put it on the table and just hook a coax to it and go to town.
Yeah.
And it puts out a good amount of power too. I actually had to turn it down when I got it. It was reading that it was keying up about 150 watts on CW. I was like, well, what the hell? We don't want to do that.
150 watts. Which brings me to, I wonder, is your 710 also 100 watts?
Yeah. So, and then the other thing that was throwing me off on the radio was it had you can change the meter on the radio to average or peak reading, and it was on average, and I was like, why is this thing reading 20 watts on sideband?
That's right. That's all it's going to do. Unless you turn on the processor and get it really hot.
Yeah. It's a really cool radio, and I guess you can hook a mouse to it if you find the right kind of wireless mouse. Otherwise, you can use a corded mouse, and you literally will put a cursor on the front of the screen, and you can just click on the frequencies you want on the waterfall.
Oh yeah, just like a PC, I guess so. Why not, since it's SDR based?
Yep. But what's nice about it is it sees the entire band and then some, whereas the 7300 didn't have enough to see the entire band.
Right. Hey, I was with Jim last Wednesday. We had breakfast and we had fish and chips over at Bakersfield. He's still doing strong. He's still strong as an ox, and he's still moving around.
Yeah, he was just on here. You missed him by not too much, like 20 minutes. Yeah, and I asked him if he had heard. We were both me and Will were asking about you, and then poof, you appeared like the magician's trick.
Yeah, I come on here sometimes, but I don't get to hear anybody, so I go straight to bed. So I was just on my way to bed, and I heard you guys come on, so I turned on. I was going to try and power up Collins, because I haven't turned the Collins on in a while.
Oh, I'd love to hear it. Yeah, you should get it on and have it on for tomorrow night. And you know, if you tell me to be on here, I'll be on here. All you do is send me an email. You know my email is 93mustanglx@gmail. So just think of a 4-cylinder 1993 Mustang LX with an automatic transmission that would get like, you know, barely go 70 miles an hour and get like, you know, like 15 miles per gallon. Just think of that, and you should never forget that email.
Yeah, the 4-cylinder. Yeah, that's a funny email address. I know, I've got your email address.
Yeah, that was the 2.3 liters of Fury with 8 spark plugs, dude. 8 of them. And you would almost cut your hands trying to try and change the other plugs because they put those crazy like metal shields in there, and those things would slice you up.
8 spark plugs on a 4-cylinder.
Yeah, they did it on the Ford Ranger too. Double plug per cylinder.
Boy, that's really weird.
I thought you had the regular 5.0 Mustang. I didn't know that was the LX 4-cylinder.
I had an LX 5.0 also. I had an 85 GT convertible. I had an 86 GT. I had a 87 GT convertible. I had an 87 LX 5.0, and then I had a 93 4-cylinder forever. And then I had somebody gave me an 89 4-cylinder LX. And my very first car was a 1986 notchback, the one that they all wanted for racing. It wasn't a hatchback, it was a notch. And it had a carbureted 2.3 liter with the goofy backwards reverse 4-speed stick. And that thing was so terrible, so terrible. The transmission froze up on me one time going across the 405 bridge in between Seattle and Bellevue. I was sitting on the side of the road going, what do I do?
Yeah, that's amazing that Detroit made that. I didn't know that there was a 4-cylinder for the LX. I'm familiar with the Iron Duke that GM made for the Camaros. That was an equal funny story. But those engines are pretty good. I mean, they can keep going and going and going. They're hard to kill.
Yeah, that the 93 had like 300,000 miles on it when I got rid of it. But we think, because it doesn't read, the 100,000 digit. But yeah, I've had a bunch of those cars, and the 2.3 is based off of the old Lima Pinto motor from the Mustang 2s and the Cologne motor and all that. But Nissan back in the 80s made 4-cylinder and 6-cylinder engines with double spark plugs too.
Oh, okay. I know the Iron Duke from GM, they put that on the S10 pickup.
Yeah, I had an 89 Cameo EL S10 with an Iron Duke in a 5-speed, the world-class 5-speed, what do they call that, the T5.
Yeah, if depending on your mood, you either liked it and tolerated it, or you probably felt like driving to the side of the road and shooting at the edges and just killing it right there on the side.
It was pretty slow. I used it to haul lawnmowers around and mow people's lawns.
Yeah, you're just reminding us about your history.
And then I had, this is the funniest one. So I used to do a lot of lawn mowing in Seattle. You could make quite a bit of money doing it. I had 84 Firebird SE with a 305 V8 and automatic, and I used to fold up my lawnmower and put it in the back of the Firebird, and they'd show up to mow the people's lawns, and they'd say, "Where's your lawnmower?" And I'd say, "Right there." And they would go, "Where?" I'd pull this lawnmower out of the back of the Firebird, and they were like, "What?"
Oh, yeah, sure. I've never seen a garden there. I've been an old Firebird for much less any car. Everybody shows up in a pickup truck around here.
Yep. My favorite, though, was an 86 Toyota with a 22R carbureted. It was just a little two-wheel drive truck. But it actually had really good brakes. It actually had good acceleration, and it got good gas mileage.
Yeah, the 22R is a very good engine. We got an overhead casting. That's an excellent Japanese Toyota.
Yep, I just, and they're so simple, even with the vacuum emissions nightmare, they were still simple.
I don't think there are many left running around here in California because as they get older, the first thing that goes wrong is the emissions, and they get hit by the smog inspections here. And then where do you go? You go to a shop, and the shop will kill you for the repair costs to replace a few rubber hoses.
Oh yeah, and the '80s ones, '85, '84, you know, all that. Yeah, no, they get sold in California, and somebody in Arizona or Oregon buys it, or you know, Utah or you know, Nevada, because they're yeah, you cannot afford to do that. And I mean, and honestly, and when they're that old, they're really hard to get them to pass emissions anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous here. And then eventually it'll probably need a new cap by that point because it goes from goes to 500,000 miles. And then the system here will require that the cap has to be factory original. So there goes like $1,000, especially now that caps are being stolen left and right out here.
I don't think that my '86 even had a catalytic converter. Maybe, yeah, I guess it did. Yeah, it did. Well, no, it was carbureted. I don't know if it had oxygen sensors. Now that I think about it, Alex, I don't think it did.
Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. If it was an EPA car, but here in California, it would have had a cap by then.
Even with the carburetor?
Yeah, even with that carburetor, you can't get away with anything here.
But yeah, they said they had an electronic feedback carburetor.
Yeah, something like that. I had a 1983 Subaru, and it had a catalytic with a carburetor.
I had a 82 and a 79 GL wagon. Yeah, those were something else too.
Yeah, I fooled around with that old Subaru. I tried to get the mixture a little richer, and since it's a carburetor, you know what happened. So I looked underneath one day, and the can was glowing orange.
Yep. This one, the 79, was an ugly root beer brown. And something happened to where, you know, the front CB axle was just spinning in the wheel. It had ripped all the teeth off.
Oh yeah, I think I was watching a video of something similar to that. I think it was Rain Man Ray's videos, and he showed the CB axle was spinning, but the wheel wasn't turning.
Yeah, and you know, I never really figured it out. We gave that car to somebody else, and I just put a big, huge cheater bar on the end of the nut and tightened it really tight, and it was fine for a while. And I don't know what happened.
What year model was it?
79. It was a GL wagon. It was like root beer brown.
Okay, not the brand, huh?
No, it was you know, when it gets to me, they call it a lift back, or you know, whatever. It had the hatch in the back. It was a wagon. I think it was 4 doors, and originally I think the spare tire would have been up under the hood too.
Yeah, okay. That's the same as my 82 or 83, and I also had the same problem with that nut on the front wheel, constantly loosening it up, and I put this tool together that had like a 6-foot long lever, so I could tighten the bejesus out of that nut.
So there's no spline on the axle going into the hub?
I don't remember how that was. I think it was a Woodruff key, I think, maybe. No. The problem was that the loose nut would cause the wheel to move a little bit on the bearing, and that made some noise. That's all the problem was. The wheel would still spin, it would still work. It just made some squeaking noise.
Oh no, mine. You could see the nut spinning and the wheel wasn't moving. You know, you go to take off and it wouldn't move forward. You leave it in gear and you get out because it's a differential. The one is spinning and it ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, that's right. Mine didn't get that bad. I eventually will get there, but I sold it before it got there.
Yeah, there's so many things I wish I had film of, you know what I mean, that have happened in my life, and just funny stuff. Like if I could have all like a montage of all the funny moments, you know, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, wouldn't you wish you still had that car around? Those are nice cars to work on. The engine was so light. I remember I replaced the engine on mine. I got one of those JDM engines and put it on, and I just lifted the whole engine with both hands and put it on because it was so convenient to hold the left and the right cylinder heads together. The whole thing was so light and small.
The only one I've picked up, I had a 1.5 liter, 1.5 liter in a 90, not Subaru, a 90 Honda Civic 4-door sedan, and I was able to pick up and carry the motor. I wouldn't have been able to lift it out of the car, but I pulled it out with a hoist, and then some guy wanted to buy it. It was still good. I got a JDM 1.6 because I wanted something with a little more power and newer. Anyway, I picked up the motor and put it in the back of the seat of the car, actually, and then met the guy down at 7-Eleven and gave him the motor. Another thing I wish I had on film.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Yeah, I think I put my when I got my engine from the dealer. I think I must have put it in the trunk of some car. I don't remember. But those small engines are so light and easy to just move around. I think I never even used an engine hoist to get the engine out.
Yeah, God, I wish a bunch of these cars I've had over the years, I wish I still had, but you know, it is what it is. Did I tell you I traded my Harley for a 2006 Volkswagen Rabbit 5-cylinder 5-speed. I hate the car.
Yeah, I think I talked to you last time when you just did that, but I haven't talked to you since. So I guess you just answered the next question I was going to ask, how the car was doing with you. But that's an unusual Volkswagen, as you already told me before.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's just too small and cramped, and like if I wear cowboy boots or something, or boots, my foot gets stuck between the gas pedal and the brake pedal. It's annoying.
So it's a manual.
Yep. I wouldn't have done it otherwise. I mean, you know, Volkswagen automatics being sealed up and you can't service them, no way.
Yeah, that's amazing how they're doing that nowadays, sealed up with no oil changes.
Yeah, because they're lucky if you're going to make it to 100,000 miles.
Isn't that crazy? And they prescribe something like 15,000-mile oil changes on the engine.
Yep, it's nuts. We drove the car. I loaded everybody up in the car, and we went to the Grand Canyon, and we got some excellent pictures of the Milky Way. Really, really amazing. And it was right before that eclipse, so I met some people that weren't too far from where you live, and they were setting up their tracker with the camera and all that stuff. It was just absolutely amazing how much I could see in the Grand Canyon at night.
Oh, yeah. We just dream about those places out here. So what part of that car was a disappointment for you?
Well, it's always got something wrong with it, and the CAN bus is always doing something stupid. The airbag light won't go off, and it was never on when I first got it, and I drove over a bumpy road. I've checked all the connectors, it won't go away. It only gets about 25 miles per gallon, and it's about the size of a shoe. So we took the diesel truck up the next day, and it got 17.6 miles per gallon. So this little tiny 5-speed 2.5 should have got better than 25 miles per gallon, in my opinion.
Yeah, for being such a smaller car. It's amazing here in Los Angeles when I drive around at night. There are so many recent model European cars that have bad taillights or no taillights. And I'm sure those are not because of blown bulbs, but because of problems with their CAN bus.
Yeah, I've always wondered what that is. I see a ton of it. And that, you know, it's always like the front lights are working, but the back isn't.
Yeah, I see a lot of that out here. Very, very common. I think those are all CAN bus related issues.
Why do they have to put all this crap in a car? I mean, why can't we just stick to the traditional stuff? Do I need a computer to run my taillights? I mean, come on, man. Let's not reinvent the wheel here.
Yeah, every one of those taillights have a computer.
Yeah, it's stupid. One of the things I hate is when you go to Walmart and you think somebody's backing up with a stupid Chevy's, they have the white reverse lights on when their door's open.
Chuckle from Will.
Oh, I had no idea that the rear lights and so forth, they had their own computers. How much fun.
Yeah, well, the intention was to wire every bulb in parallel, everything together in parallel, and then put a computer on each bulb, so that there would be a central computer in the car that could command any light to go on or off, rather than having a dedicated wire for each bulb. There's just one common wire that connects to all the bulbs, and it's called a CAN bus.
Yeah.
It can bust.
Yeah, it can mess up your day, bus.
Yeah. Guys, I gotta get out of here. Nice talking to you again. I'll try to get on a little more often.
You better, or I'm going to be very upset with you.
Alright. You can always email me and send me nasty emails.
Yeah, no. In the spirit of Lee, I would maybe do that for laughs and giggles, but not really.
Yeah, I know it. Alright, 7-3 guys for now, KJ6JK.
All right, Will, 7-3.
Have a good night, KG7HR.